Nadine. Hey, congratulations on your new film, Desperation Road.
Oh, thank you so much. So excited.
It's lovely to speak with you again. Last time I spoke with you was for a movie called Continue. I wanted to say it was from CineQuest. Uh,
Yes, it was.
and that was such a dramatic film that I have to admit. And not only that, you jump into another dramatic film with Desperation Road. So tell us what initially attracted you that you wanted to direct Desperation Road and how you were brought onto this project.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that initially attracted me to the project was the beautiful story of a mother who's desperately trying to provide for her child. And, one of the lines that stood out to me the most is when she says, not everybody has somebody. And I could relate to that feeling, especially in your dark times, like it can feel really isolating. And so it was one of the things that initially like drew me to the project, but then all of the storylines, all of the messages that are kind of hidden throughout, it has just beautiful relationships. So yeah, the film was originally brought to me by Cassian Elway's. Michael Farris Smith and him had worked together on a different project. And Michael gave Cassian the script. And when Cassian read it, he was like, I know just the director. And me and Cassian had been looking for a project to finally collaborate on again together, because he was an executive producer on my first film. But then we side by side produced this film together. So yeah, that's how it all started. I read the script several times. I read the book, and then me and Michael sat down. It's kind of like that first date energy of like, okay, what's this going to be like? What will the collaboration be like? How open will, I think it'll be how open is the writer to like my thoughts? Because as a director, I always come in with a lot of thoughts, and things that I'm really passionate about. And it was, like love at first sight. Essentially, we just really got along, and he really took to heart all of my, thoughts and the things that were important to me. And so we worked side by side and rewrote the script and found the balance of like, the things that were important to him and the things that were important to me, and then became Desperation Road. Then we went to Garret, and Garret was our first actor that attached.
Wow. I'm curious, what was some of your first thoughts that you want to change? Because I know this is a book adaptation, and sometimes, going from book to screen, there has to be changes.
Yeah. So one of the things for me in particular was the mother-daughter relationship. If you've read the book, then you might know that like Maven is a very complex person. And there was like a lot of scenes where she would run and like leave the child behind, and she almost abandoned her twice. And like there was just a lot of things that me as a mother was like, no, I'm not going to elevate that. Like what I want to elevate is a mother who is desperate to be a good mother and to to provide for her child, and to show all those beautiful little ways that she cares for her. And so one of the big things was diving in on the mother-daughter relationship. And the ending in the book is very open-ended. There is no wrap-up whatsoever. And I was like, no, I want a wrap-up. I want hope. I want people to feel inspired when they finish this. You don't want to go on a long journey and then not feel hope in the end. Like my film Continue is a heavy one. I'm like, okay, I did that already. I want hope in this one, so rewriting the ending and finding the balance on that was really important to me. Larry, the main, I don't like to use the word like villain, but I guess you'd say like the adversary in this project was in the book is just a bad man. Like he's just a bad dude, and you're not really sure why, but like he just is. And so for me, I just felt like if we, like maybe the audience won't resonate with him. They won't care for him. And I think it's a mistake for us not to care about every character, because even if they're doing bad things, they are important people, and they are flawed human beings, but they all have their own pain, their own trauma, their own experience. So it was really important to me to show why Larry is the way he is, and how grief-stricken he is, and his own battles with mental health and suicidal ideation. I really wanted to, I bring mental health into every project because what you find is there's almost always a character that's going through their own struggles, you know? And so it was very clear to me from the jump that Larry was going through his own struggle. So I felt like, why would we shy away from that and only show him causing chaos and not show the pain that he's also battling? So there was a lot of things like that that I had to get my hands on and find the balance to make us both happy, that honors the book and so many great things about the book, but also makes it a film that I think we can all relate to.
I was going to bring up Larry because you had us empathize with the villain in his own way and understand his motives, and I love the way how you do dramatic storytelling, but it's kind of interesting to me is because now it's back to back dramatic storytelling, despite because in your acting career you did like comics, you did horror. Why do you love this type of genre of storytelling?
Truthfully, I'm the girl who like watches Pretty Woman 7 times. Like I watch happy films, but the films that move me and that like I'm like my voice has to tell that story are almost always dramas, because the thing that has drawn me to cinema since I was a young girl, and like probably watched adult films at way too young of an age, but like when I first watched Girl Interrupted or Requiem for a Dream, or I mean just so many unbelievable films, I realized like we could actually affect our audience through our stories. Like Requiem for a Dream made me nauseous, like there were so many things about that, or the performances in Girl Interrupted left me floored, like holy shit, I didn't know that you could move people like that with your performances. So for me, it made me realize that cinema is a way to really make the audience empathize. You can make a project that sticks with them long after they leave the cinema, and that is what I thrive or I aspire to do. Like I want to make people think, continue. So that like I had a lot of shocking and really interesting ways of telling that story, because I wanted to create emotions in my audience member, even if they're mad at me. I wanted them to feel it, and I wanted them to leave talking about it. And that's always my goal, even with Desperation Road. I want you to empathize. I just feel like there is no unimportant character, and there is little messages we can give all throughout. And we can make our films matter. And I try and lend my voice to stories that I think can change the world in a small way, and something that's important to me is like there's almost always a charity aspect that I get involved with my films, especially the films I write and all of that. So, I think I'm just trying to change the world and help in whatever little ways I can. So I'm gravitate towards stories of struggle and adversity and, the struggles of life, but then to hope and seeing the beauty in life, even in the gritty, dark stories.
And we have to note that this is your sophomore film. This is your second and directorial feature film. And I'm amazed is how do you draw the acting out of your talent, your cast, because you could feel the emotions coming out, oozing through them.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm extremely collaborative. I started in acting. So I think that work for me, that groundwork started in acting. So it always carries through. I create all of this backstory. Like stories. Like I sit down, you're initially sitting down with an actor to see, like to try and get them to be passionate about this character the way that you are, and to make them see why they should embody this character and come on this journey with you. So I come in like, all right, this is the deal. And this is what his father did. And this is what this did. And that happened to him. And that affected this. And they're like, you don't know if they're going to like take it and, gobble it up, or if they're going to be like, no, I have my own way of thinking or whatever. But I've been really lucky that so far everyone's like, yes. And then we build together, and then becomes this beautiful collaborative process. And something that I think is really important that I've always tried to embody in my films and on my sets is a family dynamic. I believe that trust and safety and feeling safe to explore is really important. And so I have like a very strict policy of like only kindness, only support. We're all here as a family, like family we choose, and we have this tiny little window to create something really special. And so I always try and treat everyone with respect and make sure everyone else does that. And then we just create this really safe environment. And I also feel like what I've learned as a director, which I believe is a strong suit of mine, is that I do so much preparation. I have thousands of favorite pages of prep, like my shot list, my mood boards. I have performance Bibles that cover every scene. Like, it's silly. My AD team still laughs about carrying my binders, helping me lug them from place to place. But then I also know when to get the hell out of the way and let them have the magic, like let them create, and to not over crowd them, like they're artists. And like, sometimes you need to like let them know how much you believe in them and let them shine and do what they do best. Also, like, you chose them. So to not let them, collaborate and experience and like do those things would be a disservice. Like, if I chose you, I trust you, and you can trust me, and we can create something really special together. And I do think that they know from the second, like, from the second you meet me that like I care so deeply, and like my passion is just, I don't think I can hide it really. So I think they know exactly what they're getting and how much I care. So it makes them care too. I mean, I guess that's just my theory of how these beautiful relationships and collaborations start, and then it just never feels that they just feel like family, and we're just playing, once we're on set. And again, we did this movie in 16 days. So like, that's the other testament, to my actors, is like, some of those scenes you're seeing are one take. They got one shot to like make that amazing, or to do their work. And like, so our prep work together is what really led into those moments of not having enough time on set, so it's like, it's a testament to the collaborators I have, because we were doing it with no time, and and we still were able to create some magic, some beauty together.
I was going to say, it does help to have a veteran cast. I mean, you have Mel Gibson, you have Garret Hedlund, you have Willa Fitzgerald. I mean, they're they're not new in this block.
No.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's like part of it, right? Is like, why would you overcrowd someone who is like pure magic and knows what they're doing and like has impressed us 1,000 times before? I mean, I was like a fan of all of these human beings before I was working with them. So, it's like, I think there's also a part of that as well, is that I'm like, I want to honor your voice and I want to do this together. And like, they're incredible, and their credits are incredible, so I knew I was in very good hands, like with the team I built for this film.
That is true. That is true. Now tell me, I know the backdrop is Mississippi. Was it filmed in Mississippi, or do you have to find some other, small town to film this film, for Desperation Road?
So I had location scouted every location in Mississippi, actually in the town of Macomb, where the book takes place. And that was our plan. And then like 2 weeks before pre-production, they moved us to Kentucky. So we shot in Kentucky. It had more crew. It was just a better place for us. Kentucky has a really booming like film world now, and a lot of productions are going there. So they had great crew, and it brought us there right before pre-production. So we started from ground zero with only 3 weeks to prep. So that was like pure anxiety, but it all worked out. And it always works out the way that it's meant to. Like, I was devastated we weren't going to Mississippi, because I had really painted that picture in my mind, but the locations we ended up finding in Kentucky, and where we ended up, and like the farm and everything, it was just like, the movie gods were looking out for us, because I ended up loving everywhere we found in Kentucky, like even more than the places we were supposed to use in Mississippi. So it's like, it always works out. It's just having to have trust in the chaos.
Most excellent. Well, I'm glad it worked out. Now, Nadine, I know I bring up Continue because that's an excellent first film for you, but Continue, it's all about mental struggles, and it was a very personal film to you. Now, Desperation Road, it's still very dramatic. It's still about the struggles and so on. How how do you put yourself in this position and just don't go down that spiral of having all these memories and visions coming back to you when you're directing a feature film like this?
I think that's a great question. Honestly, I think because, that's something I probably haven't really thought about. I think because every movie I make, like, truthfully, I'm not just saying this, before every single scene is shot, I like say a little prayer and I'm like, please let whoever this scene is for, whoever needs this message, whoever this is for, find this message and let that the words flow through us, And so when you kind of keep the focus not on yourself and not your own experience, but on helping others, I think that it helps you, or it helps me not to go into as dark a place. But also, all of the hardship I've experienced, all of my trauma has led to the person I am today. And I think that that trauma actually ended up becoming my superpower because I empathize. Like, I can empathize and connect with so many different people and their experiences because I have been through so much shit. Like, I mean, honestly, I used to look at it as like, why me? Why? And only now, as a woman, a mother, a wife, all of these things, literally 8 years sober today, I'm like, it had to go exactly how it went because now I can connect with an even wider range of human beings and try and help and empathize. Like, my goal is always to get the audience to empathize with another perspective outside of their own. So I think because I've turned it from like the victim or being poor me to empowered by it and realizing that it created who I am today, even when it does arise, like, I'm like, oh, I know that that's that like hurt part of you. And, why are you feeling that way? Like, I can just approach it differently than when you're young and lost and in the chaos. It's kind of hard to see your way through, and like, now I realize even the bad, this is something that I've started asking myself, how is this working for you? It's either working for you or against you. So, okay, well, yes, this is just an example. Yes, you got that rejection or that door slammed in your face, but it did lead you to that person. And that person is a great friend. And then that led you to this. So, like, maybe it was all working for you. So I think changing my perspective and just knowing I'm going to be okay. Like, I have the tools in my toolbox to be okay, even if I did go to a sad place or a dark place, So, and I have a great support system now because I know to reach out, or because I just handle it in a different way. So I guess it's like maturity in years and like going through the darkest times of your life to now you're like, shit, I've survived. I've survived worse. I'll be okay with that rejection.
Well, I am certainly glad that you took this positive path in your career in life because I know how dramatic and how touching your life can actually be. But Nadine, let me start. I've taken a lot of your time already. Let me start wrapping things up with you. But now you have been in the director's chair twice now. Is this do you love this new part of your career? Are you heading forward in this path, behind the camera, and what's up next for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think writing and directing is like I've been saying now for a little bit on my way to my passion, because like acting was all I lived, slept, and breathed for so many years. But on my way to my passion, I found my vocation. I feel like I'm meant to tell stories, write stories. Like, my experience, like I said, has helped bring forth so many important stories, and almost all of the films that I write personally have an aspect of charity. And so I just feel like I can really I can do something with my voice, you know? So I am very drawn to writing and directing. That said, I did just recently write one that I do plan to act in. I wrote like 5 that I'm not going to be in, but this recent one, I was like, I have to play that role. Like I'm really drawn to it, you know? So there, I don't think acting will be over for me, but I definitely do think like directing is my world. And as far as like what's next, my dream was to work with the producer Robbie Brenner. She was on my vision board and she came into my life. It was literally by an act of God, just that we met and we fell for each other. And so now her and I have several projects that we're planning to create together. But my next film, I actually was already supposed to be gone shooting that film. But the strikes have obviously made things a little bit weird this year. So yeah, my next film will be a film called Vanished that Robbie and Mark Forrester are producing. So I'm super excited about that film. And yeah, I have another project with her dear son, and I have several going with Lionsgate. So I'm very happy that it sounds like I'll be making some great films coming up here.
You know what? I am certainly happy for you, especially I know the trajectory that you came from for your career in life. So, Nadine, hey, congratulations! It's a wonderful conversation with you again, and let's do this again next time.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always great getting to talk to you.
Hey, thank you, appreciate it.